Hello everyone and welcome back to the Cyclocross Social podcast. Today we're going to be discussing the fourth round of the UCI Cyclocross World Cup, which took place in Namur. And with me here to discuss all the action, the absolute cinema, is Issam.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so good to be back. This is what this sport is about, Issam. Namur, 14,000 spectators, all going absolutely crazy, cheering for Van der Poel, cheering for Nice, cheering for the random Ukrainian who's dead last. Doesn't matter. Like, everybody is going crazy, and what a race we were treated to in the men elite category. The expectations were very high for the return of Mathieu van der Poel, but I felt that was more related to the person Mathieu van der Poel, the record world champion on the men's side coming into the field. Always a moment of excitement, but the race, man, did it deliver. For weeks I've been saying if they're gonna beat him somewhere, like this is the opportunity in Namur, but even for me pushing this agenda, I was surprised by how close this race was, Issam.
Yeah. It's like after this race, I was almost looking back thinking, well, I should have pushed back, a little less, gone a little bit more with the fact that this was a race where he would be looking beatable. I was mildly surprised. I mean, of course, we always took in consideration that we could see a Van der Poel that will look somewhat beatable, because of the nature of the course, the fact that it's his first race back in again, and that will play a role. But it was, of course, you also needed somewhat the players, that are able to make use of that scenario. And today I have to give the props to Thibaut Nys. I have to give the props to Vanthourenhout, and also Lars van der Haar, by the way, who also rode very strong today. And I think those three matched him over the course of the race up until I think lap 7. When Van der Poel really tried to shake things down, and it was only Nice really that was able to instantly react. And I think from there on it was definitely looking or heading towards a Nice Van der Poel duel. And I'm not gonna lie, I was not expecting to say those things when we had the preview, because it was something, maybe I've dreamt of this, but it was only a dream. It was not something that I thought that could become reality. And it's a real shame actually that Nice had his knee fall and had that little crash there on the last lap, because I think we were somewhat robbed by that moment of a what could have been maybe a great last lap. But for sure I really enjoyed the racing, and I think everyone that watched it enjoyed the racing. It was great to see, great spectacle, great to see Van der Poel back. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, let's go over that race phase by phase then. And I forgot to mention it early on, I'm recording from the car, but it's my friend who's driving today, but it just saves a bit of time after a long day to the race. Namur is not close to where I live, so let's go over that race phase by phase, because boy, it was a tremendous battle. We discussed it before in the preview. If you wanted to take advantage of Van der Poel's bad starting position, you need to have a good start. And Michael Vanthourenhout perhaps extra eager because of the incidents with Ryan Kamp yesterday, which I'm sure we're going to discuss in a little bit, went at it from the start. He put the others under pressure, tried to make a move. Thibaut Nys didn't have a great start and quickly found himself with Mathieu van der Poel. They moved their way up, and for a long time it was a bit of a waiting game up front. There was a pack until Mathieu van der Poel crashed. He crashed in the downhill after the stairs. From there, Van der Poel needed to chase. The race was broken open. He came to the forefront, and we had 4 leaders. The 4 riders you just mentioned. Van der Haar was there together with Nys. Then there were Vanthourenhout and Van der Poel. Nys set the pace. Vanthourenhout took turns. Van der Haar was mainly the 4th wheel at the front, but he was holding his nerve well. He wasn't making any silly or reckless moves. Then we came to that phase at the end, lap 7, what you said. Van der Poel launched a big attack, Nys the only one able to follow, but Vanthourenhout managed to get back because neither of them was too eager to continue. Nys very smart today, he just decided to sit in the wheel of Van der Poel mostly. Lap 8, Nys launched a small attack. Again, Van der Poel was the one to follow. Vanthourenhout came back coming into the final lap. In the final lap then, it was Van der Poel who went into the pits for a bike change. He took the lead on the climb after the start, but Nys overtook him. Nys seemed to want to put him under pressure a little bit in the upcoming technical sections, but then he made that mistake in what is one of the easiest corners on the course, but it's, well, that's only on paper, because I remember from a few years ago, Van Aert went down in that 180 there as well. It's not that easy. I think Aerts has crashed there once or twice. It's not easy. It's very tight on the exit, very easy to go into the course tape. So that for the battle for the win, because Van der Poel sent it down the downhill and then went on to take the win. Nys recovered from 4th to 2nd, seemed to be satisfied, but knew maybe deep inside this was the best opportunity of the season to beat Van der Poel. This was the circumstances just aligning. Rusty Van der Poel, course that maybe suits Nys a little bit more than Van der Poel relatively. Everything just seemed to come in place for Nys, but then that little mistake, which was very unfortunate. So am I premature for calling this a modern classic, Issam? Because I think it was really good, but at the same time, I'm just breaking it down, and I don't think we can say Van der Poel, his technical ability was bad. He just wasn't consistent technically. But if you look at how he sent it on the off-camber in the final lap, that was absolutely tremendous. He just flew by. And we saw him have a number of those bursts on the cobbled climb. When he launched that attack, he seemed good, but it seemed more like the reality of just Namur is a very hard course to start your season with, and then you can get a modern classic like this, and at least I think that we can definitely call it one.
I really think so. I think it is also quite significant, the fact that we had a Van der Poel racing, in between, and overall the racing wasn't bad. It was very respectful. I think I like that as well. I don't know if you had that feeling, but for me at least, it felt like I was doubting myself, because I looked at the way Van der Poel was racing. I was like, he's holding back. He's not, and then he of course had that crash and he came back in an instance. It was Vanthourenhout looked back like twice to just check and be like, what? You hey, where did you come from? And I think that was sort of the sentiment that I had going through that race. Like, is he playing games? Is he actually not able to do something? Then we had that attack, lap 7, on that same section where I think that Van der Poel was there. That was his strongest part of the course. To me, at least, it looked like that was definitely his strong point. And Nys was able to follow. And when they crossed the finish line to start their 8th lap, you saw Van der Poel looking behind, and he was like, I did not expect you to see here in my wheel. And I think that looking at that and the dynamics and the way the racing went, I think you can definitely call this a modern classic. I think for Nys, I can remember from last year that I was very critical on Toon Aerts and his quote-unquote choke. I just hope that the choke of Nys today, the crash, I just hope that he's not going to look back after the season and say, that was the only chance that I had to beat Van der Poel. Because it could very well be that case. I'm not saying that it will be that case, because I feel that Nys definitely showed something today, and also Vanthourenhout and Van der Aar were very strong, but we go over them as well. But I feel that Nys today, he dropped the ball a little bit, because this was an opportunity. I felt like Van der Poel had some cards to play with, and as you said, the whole race he was struggling with that off-camber. Last lap, he turns it on and he's able to do it. That corner where he crashed, he looked very iffy in a couple of laps. He came in too wide. He tried to cut the corner, that didn't work. Last lap, when he was able to, when he was ahead of Nys, and he made use of that corner and he was getting through that corner easily, no issues, was able to just cut his line. That is also he was definitely rusty. We have seen a Van der Poel that in his first race back can be a little rusty. He has the tendency to make a mistake left or right. Even a crash is not something that is out of the ordinary for Van der Poel. But he recovered, and he recovered like a real champion. And I think that today he showed again why he is the 7-time world champion, why he is the rider that is feared by many. And yeah, I think it was again. I've just really enjoyed it.
Issam, what you're talking about earlier, the waiting for something to happen, is he holding back? That's the aura of a world champion. That's the aura of Mathieu van der Poel, because if any other rider would be sitting there like that, let's say that's Lars van der Haar, you're thinking, he's just happy to be there. But in our minds, we just cannot comprehend the idea of Mathieu van der Poel coming across as human and beatable. So I definitely get where that feeling comes from, but it's not necessarily like there will at some point in the career be a day that we're looking at Mathieu van der Poel sitting in the wheel like that, waiting for something to come, and then it doesn't come. I remember many people, myself and several commentators included, had that feeling at the Valkenburg World Championships in 2018. Like, he was there sitting behind Van Aert for a little bit in the first lap, third position, and we were like, yeah, okay, well, at some point he's going to move to second and then we'll get the battle for the win. But he never made that move. He never was able to put in an effort to bridge across. So that happens sometimes, but that catches you by surprise just because how dominant he is. And today he was appearing human, which I guess is the most flattering thing you can say, because he was beatable today. And yeah, Nice squandered that opportunity. To quote Miracle on Ice, great moments come from great opportunities, and today was a great opportunity for him because he did look good. I was worried about his technical finesse. Would he be able to deliver that after a training camp? Historically, that hasn't always been the case, but it was the case today until that final lap in that corner. And I mean, Nice, I guess the narrative is a bit different than Aerts, because with Aerts we're prone to it and we know, oh, the last lap, it happens so many times. Whereas with Nice, we also know that he can be a killer in the final lap. But today, he definitely squandered a opportunity. How many will you get? Yeah, the season will tell. But physically, Nice also looked good. And it's like, again, Namur is a difficult course. Van der Poel said he did 2 cross trainings, and the finesse here is more important. Being in the groove, being locked in, like all those things, they come to the forefront much more here in Namur, which is, in my opinion, just the most difficult cyclocross course in the world. Like, the Koppenberg is maybe physically the most difficult, but the mental fortitude and focus you need to have here in Namur to focus on those technical sections, coming onto the off-camber after the cobbled climb, like combining all those things, that makes, for me, this the single most difficult course there is on the circuit. And to start your season there, once again, is not easy. So what does this mean for the upcoming races? If you ask me, Van der Poel will have an easier time next week in Antwerp, probably also in Kokzijde, because he's going to get better every race. He's going to get more into the groove every race. His technical skills will become more of the level we are accustomed to. But Nice, he can definitely take something away. I will talk about Vanthourenhout in a little bit, because he too was very strong today. But Nice definitely still a little cut above Vanthourenhout. Potentially because Vanthourenhout raced in Kortrijk yesterday. But Nice certainly today showed a good level. And I'll ask you this question about Vanthourenhout in a bit, Issam. But is this the best Thibaut Nice we have seen this season? And is he then also the best Thibaut Nice we have seen in his career?
Probably want to say yes, because I felt like he was today, the way he was able to answer that attack, it still crosses my mind. I think that was truly a masterpiece from his side. And then he was, even he said it also in his post race interview, that he always felt somewhat in control. And to have that feeling in such a race, such a course, with those competitors, coming back from a training camp where we were talking about, historically Nice is not really someone that when he comes back from a training camp, he has the tendency to struggle a little bit in his first race back. And to do all that and being able to show the strength and the power that he showcased today, he said as well in the post-race interview that he thought that, he was not going to be dropped today. And if you have that feeling, with someone like Van der Poel, even the Van der Poel that we saw today, I think it's hard to not conclude that, despite the fact that his race in Tabor was super strong, was also very, very strong, and he had, of course, his first race back in first race of the season for him, which was the Koppenberg, where he also showcased some great strength, great technique as well. So it's really just a shame that he crashed there on the last lap, because I felt like he robbed himself there a little bit from a great battle, which that is going to be an opportunity we'll be thinking about. And as he concluded himself as well in the post-race interview, he said that he thinks that even if he has this level again in the next coming races, or in certain races that are coming up, he will probably not have the chance that he got right now for victory. And he took as an example Kokseide or Hofstade, and then he knows that will be definitely more difficult because he's not really known as a rider that can get through the sand quite well. And Van der Poel normally can handle himself there in those type of courses. So I think that is the big takeaway for me, and for sure, I think that we can conclude that Nys made a step this season, a big step, and I'm just very curious to see what that will mean for the Christmas period, because how cool would that be if we are going into certain races where Nys will be able to battle with Van der Poel? Hard to judge if that will happen, but I would really love to see that.
It will be very course prone. I would say probably in Tabor, Nys was even stronger, but now it's a superstar effect because he comes close to Van der Poel. We see this as a sign, to the extent in which we already didn't know that down the line he will be the challenger together with likely Del Grosso to Mathieu van der Poel, to become his successor in a way, in terms of bringing the fans to the races and being the poster boy of the sport. But above and beyond the strength he had today, I would just want to underline his technical skills today, because he rode very well. He knew where to put Van der Poel under pressure. His dad wrote a book, Winners Have a Plan, and certainly Thibaut Nys seemed to have a plan today, even though he didn't win. He made those moves, and always when the technical sections came, I saw Thibaut Nys in that World Cup leaders jersey hit the front. And he did so consistently. Also in the final lap, Mathieu van der Poel attacks on the climb, coming from that bike change, which I think is a very weird moment to still switch from bikes, but whatever, who am I to judge a 7-time world champion? But Nys then was the one who led into that downhill, which was one of his stronger sections on the course. So that was very well done. Then let me move and ask you the same question. Was this the best Michael Vanthourenhout we've seen this season, Issam?
No doubt. I can answer that way quicker. No doubt. I think that Vanthourenhout, he didn't showcase himself from his best side yesterday in Kortrijk, but today, superb job from his side. I think that, of course, when you go to such a course like Namur, we know that is a course that suits him super well. He has shown that so many times here. To be able to pull it off right now, where you were thinking, well, Vanthourenhout is on the up, this level is something else. So I think that definitely today it looks to me like it was his best race. I mean, he was able to be up there. He could not profit from the mistake from Nys, because I think Nys was just better. But he, third place was for him, I think, the maximum achievable, because you saw that he was, Van der Haar was definitely struggling a little bit more. But Vanthourenhout also showcased that he was most likely going to be finishing third throughout the race. He was definitely the one that took the most initiative in the race, maybe a little too much, but yeah, he was thinking, I have to break this group a little bit up, because then I have the biggest chance of finishing up on the podium, which he did. So yeah, I think to answer it again, yes, this is definitely the best form that we have seen from Vanthourenhout this season. I think that throughout his career, to answer that question myself, I don't think that this is the best Vanthourenhout that we have seen ever. But it was definitely a very good Vanthourenhout, and the best this season.
Yeah, I certainly agree with the assessment that this was the best Vanthourenhout this season. He, as we discussed last week, had quite some setbacks. That crash in Tabor really hampered him. He did big training block before. That's why he didn't perform that well in Merckxplas and Hamme. But now he really seems on top. Win last week, third. But it's just unfortunate that his behavior in yesterday's race on the Saturday still makes me going to say some bad things about him, because it's all fun when you have the legs like this, but I don't know, it happens all the time. When we are, we're not going to record an episode for this race, exact series. We've done, I think this is our 30th episode of the year. We have 12 races at Christmas coming up, and we're just taking a little bit of a breather. It happened in Meulenbeke Maldegem, a few years ago. It happened also the day after the Belgian Championships in Otegem, and now yesterday as well. Michael Vanthourenhout up front with Ryan Kamp. You last week said I wouldn't want to go into Ryan Kamp side by side in the corner. Michael Vanthourenhout didn't listen to your advice. It could have saved him a whole heap of trouble because what happened, my guy decided to elbow Ryan Kamp on a straightaway in one lap. Yeah, Ryan Kamp doesn't forget, and the next lap he elbows back, and then the lap after that, Poel Sauze 2v1 him, and they try and sandwich him, and then it results in, according to Vanthourenhout, Kamp brake checking him on the bridge, which causes him to crash. And Kamp says, oh no, he just wasn't paying attention and hit my rear wheel. Okay, like that already is some prime Poel Sauze there. That 2v1 move was way over anything. And that was really initiated by Vanthourenhout. I mean, both of them had their elbows out. Both of them were probably crossing some lines in what is acceptable, or at least on the limit. But after the race, so many things go wrong. Why doesn't Poel Sauze protect their guy? Why do they put him in front of a camera when they know he's angry? And then you just say, oh yeah, I have a 2-year contract and Ryan Kamp is on the way out. He can be kicked any moment. Yeah, that's just a low ball move. And the funniest thing is that you're saying, oh no, I really like Ryan Kamp. I don't think anybody in Poel Sauze likes Ryan Kamp because they parted ways in a really bitter taste. This whole situation the team had before with Ronhaar versus Kamp also caused internal splits, with Paul Herreiger saying that people on the coaching staff left the team because they vouched for Ronhaar, but the team went with Kamp instead, and then Ronhaar became a World Cup winner. And then the people who vouched for Ronhaar were blamed for not turning Kamp into a World Cup winner. That's what Paul Herreiger said 2 years ago. Last year you saw another boiling pot with the Iserbeat Kamp thing. So I don't really think anybody in that team likes Poel Sauze, and I don't think many people believe that when they say they do. So and certainly this didn't help what happened yesterday, but yeah, I'm just spiraling kind of to Kortrijk now, but I just thought that was a very crazy ending to that race, and certainly from both sides a lack of professionalism, but maybe more so on the side of Vanthourenhout, in my opinion, with that post-race interview than of Kamp, who today had an absolutely horrendous day.
Yeah, Kamp definitely didn't have his day, and so many things went wrong there in that race and also after the race, so it was a bit of a mess. But I guess, it's just an Cyclocross, guys. Come on. Don't take it too serious. So I didn't really understand why they, in the heat of the moment, of course, you can understand that the reactions won't be that good. Poel Sauze definitely dropped the ball there, not protecting Vanthourenhout from himself. I think those comments that were made, I didn't like that one bit. I was thinking of, you have a teammate that also has a contract, but is at the moment not able to race in the likes of Iserbeat. So that is also how life goes. So I think to really try to put yourself in a position of, oh look, I have a contract and he probably will not have a contract. I think it's a bit silly, a bit dumb, especially considering the situation they have with Iserbeat. So it is what it is. But I had to mention it because we didn't go over the race in Kortrijk, and I felt that I had to say that when I was talking about Vanthourenhout. But again, I felt like today there is nothing to say. There's no bad words that I can say about the performance and the way he was racing today, Vanthourenhout. He raced great. He maximized his result, in my opinion. And, he can look back at a very good race and a less so, professionally, I guess, weekend.
Yeah, certainly a strong Vanthourenhout today, and this is the best course on the calendar for him. This is where he always performs. This is where he became European champion. This is where we saw him fight Tom Pidcock for the win. This is where we've seen him do great things. This is where he is at his best. So certainly a good outing for him and at the best course of the year for him. I also want to say strong outing by Lars van der Haar. I think he, like we concluded earlier, is really, really growing into good form. And yeah, this is maybe not the best course for him. I think we'll get some courses at Christmas, maybe the ones that don't suit Nice as much, Hofstade, races like that. I think will be plenty of opportunities for Lars van der Haar there to get a podium. I think we should then run down the entire top 10. We had Van der Poel, Nys and Vanthourenhout on the podium. 4th place went to Lars van der Haar. 5th place for Emiel Verstringen, with Niels van der Putten coming in 6th. Pim Ronnaar 7th, ahead of Joris Nieuwenhuis, Wietse Meeuwse in 9th and Toon van der Bos in 10th. What you see in Namur, because it's an atypical course, there's a number of riders maybe slightly underperforming. Nieuwenhuis, Van der Putten, Zweek, not good courses for them, so I don't really see anything in that. Who I would like to discuss is Cameron Mason. I guess I had expected a bit more from him, but he raced yesterday in Kortrijk, and there he was quite strong. Maybe the double up didn't go too well for him. I still think that he's in great shape, and what we saw last weekend, the weekend before, in Flamanville, just that stretch of form continued into Kortrijk. So I'm not too worried about Cameron Mason over one underperformance. Then maybe Del Grosso Issam, that could be a good final rider to discuss here. He also started his season and he didn't really have a great day, especially after he crashed midway through.
He was, in the beginning of the race, he was quite far back, or it didn't look all too great, but it reminded me a little bit of what he did last year, where we just saw him kind of grow in the race and get better and better and move up. And to be honest, up until that crash, he was actually really moving up. And I think if he was able to actually continue that, he was probably potentially fighting for a top 5. So I think up until that point, it didn't look all too bad. It definitely didn't look great. I think that he's probably, in terms of where his form is at the moment and how he raced today, he was not at his best, and that is not a bad thing, because the best has to come for him. He has to grow into this season as well. It's only his first race back, so there is nothing wrong with that. But I think after the crash, it kind of broke his spirit in a way, in terms of trying to continue on and fight through. And obviously, it's also Namur. We have really seen it with a couple of guys that, Tonaerts had a puncture, was racing quite well actually, and that can just really cost you, because it's just when it gets you out of a rhythm and you have to then try to get back the ground that you have lost. It can really take so much out of you that it will, you have to pay the bill somewhere, 1 or 2 laps later, and then you don't really have any money saved. And I think that, for Del Grosso, that hampered his race, I guess, a little bit. His form didn't help him either all too much. And don't make any mistakes, this is not the indication that you need for, okay, now it's Christmas period, he will be nowhere. He will grow in that Christmas period for sure, in my opinion. And we will definitely see some flashes again of a very strong Del Grosso in the coming races, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's hard to draw too many conclusions when the sample size is literally 1. For Alpecin, also Senna Romein started his season. He was way, way down there. He even got pulled from the race. So it was, I guess, a bit of a mixed day for Alpecin. Probably across the board, they would conclude that their Dutch riders starting their season all still need to grow into the season, which is fine, of course. You can't expect to be there immediately when you come from Spain. You've done road training. Like I said, Van der Poel literally did 2 cross-specific training sessions. Pieterse did a few more, but it's not easy to come into this sport. There's no miracles. There is no magic. You need to put in the work. You need to grow. You need to put in the hours on the bike, the touches on the bike. You need to really get comfortable. It's such a unique sport that you're pursuing that it really becomes important to get that feeling, and maybe more so than in other sports. On the road, it's relatively easy to get back from an injury. It's about your form levels more so. Of course, you need to readapt to cornering and riding in the group, but so very different from cyclocross or mountain biking, where it's really being an extension of the bike and functioning as one. Somebody who certainly functioned as an extension of her bike today was Lucinda Brand, because this was another masterclass by her. She had a good start today. She was in 3rd position, took over the lead from Amandine Fouquenet. The French champion did her best to follow for as long as she could, but ultimately couldn't keep up with Lucinda Brand. She powered away. A flat tire mid-race didn't stop her in the slightest. Brand went on to take yet another victory Fouquenet blew up kind of a little bit in the middle of the race after that fast start. She got passed by Pieterse and by Aniek van Alphen. Eventually, Van Alphen powered away to second place. Pieterse had a bit of her own implosion in the second half, falling back to fourth, and Fouquenet repacked herself and claimed third at that point. Issam, you mentioned something when we were discussing this podcast off record before. For the season, we were waiting what's to come. When is the opposition going to be there to Lucinda Brand? And now we're getting into the phase where maybe we are slowly realizing that this is just the reality we're going to have to deal with, that Lucinda Brand is just on a generational run this season and is going to win everything. I don't know. I think that's a premature conclusion based off Namur, but what I want to say is that it was just a very, very impressive outing by her. Not really much to say. I saw one crash on the big screen. I wasn't sure if that was the moment that she punctured and then needed to run down that hill, but clearly even a puncture couldn't stop her today.
She had a front tire puncture, so I think overall you cannot really be too critical of the race of Brand. It was again an incredible race, and we have said it a couple of times already this season, where we just kind of know that if Brand has a clear road, is able to get through the course well, she is hard to be challenged with the current field, and there is nothing to to criticize on the rest of the field, but it's just how it is at the moment. That is just how things are shaping up currently, and Brand is just the best and hard to challenge. And I think today as well, on those power sections, Brand really can make the difference. Climbing is also quite good actually. We kind of know already that someone like Van Alphen or Fouquenet, especially on this course for Fouquenet, I think that she really maximized everything. It was a really strong race from Fouquenet in my opinion. But also Van Alphen rode great, but that is not going to be enough to beat Brand. And yeah, we were talking about somewhat that waiting game. Pieterse, for her first race back, definitely didn't look bad, and I think that she was maybe going a little too excited of starting this season, I guess, and paid a little bit the price for that. I think that if she paced herself a little bit better, potentially she could have finished on the podium. It was going to be tough, but I think it was maybe possible. That is somewhat where we are looking at right now. We kind of know that with someone like Van Alphen or Fouquenet, it's going to be very tough to challenge. And even someone like Casasola that didn't start today, I have no idea why. We kind of know that those riders on a very good day and Brand on a not so good day, they could maybe potentially challenge Brand. But for someone really to be able to challenge in normal circumstances and on a regular basis, we kind of have to, we are waiting for riders like a Pieterse who now came back. Van Empel, we don't know when that will happen, her return. Maybe someone like Buckstead, Schreiber. Those are riders that we are kind of waiting for. But it seems like we potentially could end up in a scenario where those riders, where we know that if they are in a very good form, they could be able to challenge Brand. Maybe not on every course, but on some courses. But it could well be that we might actually go through this entirety of the Christmas period where that will not happen. And that maybe after the Nationals, we will finally see such a confirmation, which is going to be a tricky season for Brand, because in terms of the way that she's going to win, and she can really make use of the situation that she has presented herself right now and the form that she has to make use of that for sure. But it could very well be that we are looking at a season where Brand is, dominating, and that at the end of the season, when the World Championships are closing in, that maybe certain riders that we were kind of somewhat out of the picture return into that picture and could actually challenge her. But that is, in a way, not really what we hoped for, and is also, I guess, maybe a little bit disappointing. So I really hope that we get rewarded for the waiting, and maybe we don't have to wait that long, because I felt like there are definitely some positives to take from Pieterse. It didn't look amazingly on the bike. She was making mistakes a little bit, but overall it didn't look bad. The form is okay. We can definitely see that she's someone that could normally be in the top 5, but she just needs a little bit extra to challenge, and hopefully she can find that somewhere. But realistically, and we have to be realistic, I don't think that will happen in this Christmas period. And that came out quite hard.
I don't want to take that anybody takes this as a criticism of Brand or a neglect of her performance, but it certainly does help. Like when we go over the riders that before the season we think, okay, these are the riders that could challenge Brand like for the top step. These are the top riders. Just look at what's behind their name. Van Empel, we don't know what's going on, but hasn't raced in a month and a half. Vash, not really into the season yet at this point. Backstedt, broken wrist. Schreiber, pulled muscle. Alvarado, long knee injury and illness. Annemarie Worst, also been injured at the start of the season and never really gotten into form due to that. I'm probably forgetting a rider or two now, but it just... Staying fit is also a quality, and Brand has been able to do that, and she is very strong. So we might be looking at a season where it's just difficult to beat her, but we will see. There's many races to come. It's also dangerous, especially when you dominate seasons like this. The risk is always there that others, because they have nothing to lose, like Alvarado, for her the only salvation of this season would be a medal at the World Championship. So she puts everything on that race, who knows what happens. So it is too early to draw conclusions for the World Championships, but certainly it's looking great for Brand, who remains in great form and doesn't really show any signs of weakness. But I would like to applaud Aniek van Alphen, because her ride today was very good. I think this is also one of her career best rides. Of course, that win in Flamanville has to go in there, but boy, where last year things kind of went downhill from here and the lights were on but nobody was home, this season it looks like she's growing stronger and stronger. Last weekend in Sardinia she was up there. The week before she won in Flamanville. She's been on the podium a lot since the European Championships where she got a medal, and now second here again. And the way she was taking those downhills, I believe in an earlier episode I said something about controlled slipping. Like the bike control that Van Alphen has is tremendous, and that showed once again today in those downhills. Nobody had a better control over her bike, maybe other than Jolanda Neff, who we'll talk about. But chapeau to Aniek van Alphen, who retains her World Cup lead. I think, maybe she could make a bid for the overall, Issam, because she's going to race everything, and we don't know what Brand is going to do. But Brand said she wasn't going to do everything. She skipped one. Is that all she's skipping? We don't know yet at this point, but I would say there's certainly some opportunities for her with how her results have been trending.
Absolutely. And I think that if Brand was going to race everything and she would eventually win the overall and she finishes second, I think that she can still look back at a great World Cup. So yeah, I think that today is as well, we I don't think we have been negative, but we have tried to kind of picture a very realistic situation at the moment on the women's side. But Van Alphen was today great. I have to say that I was hoping that she was able to kind of hold on to that positive trend that she was on, and clearly she has been able to do that. So I think today was also, as you said, she was really able to use the course to its fullest. The great bike control, was able to negotiate that well, and it was clear who was the best. And she held her own quite well. It will depend, I guess, in terms of if she will be able to hold on to that. It will depend on how many races Brand will miss, and if there are actually going to be any races that she will miss. And also, I guess, a little bit on what will happen in terms of which rider will race where, because it could very well be that we get maybe a certain riders in between. We don't know if it would be a crazy world that we're going to be living in if Brand will actually drop a little bit in performance somewhere this season. But it is also a scenario that we have to take into consideration, if she's already thinking about the World Championships, which I think at some point she has to. Who knows how she will try to tackle that. She said that she wanted to mix it up a little bit. I don't really hear much about it at the moment, but I don't think that it would be a weird idea for her if she's going to try and really build up towards that, because she has a margin in some sense. So I think there are quite some factors that will still play a role. It's not as straightforward as we kind of think that it maybe could be. It could very well end up that way, but let's see. I think that the Christmas period always has some surprises, and maybe at the end of it we will have some surprise that we will be talking about, and that is sometimes how it goes. It's so difficult to judge how someone will get out of such a Christmas period because of the nature of all those races, so packed in a very close period of time. It's difficult to judge. So I just hope that everyone gets through that safely, no injuries, and can focus on what lays ahead in terms of nationals and world championships.
Amandine Fouquenet then, 3rd place. Somebody sign her. That's kind of all I have to say. It's been
sign her quick. Jeez.
Please, somebody. Like, we have to. I mean, we've discussed it many times already, and this was a good result for her. So, yeah, I really don't know what teams are waiting for. Jurgen Mettepenningen, maybe instead of signing Gerben Kuipers, see if you can cancel that deal and get Amandine Fouquenet.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not going to get Fouquenet, still cancel that deal probably, because that it looks to be a disaster at this point.
They're calling it the worst deal ever.
But it looked good on paper maybe a couple of years ago, but not right now. It's just a very poor deal. It's a very poor deal, very poor transfer. And it shows that they're desperate, but it's weird that they're not desperate on the women's side, where you have someone that is just, I don't know. That is a weird dynamic that we are having. It's so weird as well that you have. It just kind of shows the flaws of the sport, is it? That I think that is what we have to conclude somewhat, and I just really hope that she will find a team before January, because, yeah, I cannot imagine if that is not going to be the case. We really going to fail as a sport. I'm saying it, and it would be a shame if that would probably if that means that she cannot support the campaign in terms of cyclocross and has to focus more on the road or whatever. I would really hate to see that happening, but those are things that could happen if it's not going to be fixed somewhere this month. So let's hope for the best. She's definitely doing everything she can with the results, because I think today I did not expect her to be so far up the ranking of the results. I think that she really, again, put in an incredible effort and an incredible result overall. So yeah, sign her. That's all I can say.
Then Pieterse, she has been signed. The only Alpecin rider with a champion jersey to not get a custom livery bike, but maybe she's just not a big fan of the orange that Del Grosso got, although I do like that bike. But Pieterse, I think you already said a couple of things about her return to the cross season. I said something in the summary, and I think that kind of summarizes it. It's a hard race to come back. You've heard me say it a number of times already, but yeah, it's a solid start. She had a good phase in the middle, but probably just hit a wall a bit and then fell back quite hard. You pay for every mistake, every little thing in cash on this course. She didn't seem all too confident yet on the technical skill sections. The off-camber was a bit wonky from laps to laps, so it's okay. I saw plenty of points for her to work with, and the result, 4th, yeah, whatever. It's one place worse than last year in her start in Namur, but I don't think we can really measure those things that way and therefore conclude that it wasn't a great start. But somebody who certainly did have a great start was Jolanda Neff, who finished 5th. We didn't mention her in the preview. I am actually kind of happy we didn't, because I probably would have said something like top 10 would be a miracle. Honestly, that's kind of what I thought. Like Jolanda Neff coming in 10th place, maybe 8th, something like that would be a really good result. But never in my life had I thought that Jolanda Neff would fight her way to a 5th place here.
I agree with you. I would probably have said some stupid shit on the sorry for my language, but I would have said some stupid stuff on the preview. But I have to say, I saw when I saw the onboard video of Pieterse, the Reckoning, and I saw the off camber, and the confidence that Neff showed there, the skill, I thought, and the words that Pieterse said after that, her reaction there was, we already know who is going to win tomorrow. And I have to say, it was like she hasn't been off the cross bike for a while, and that hasn't been the case. Of course, she did some racing before she came here in Namur, but man, it was impressive. I don't think she unclipped, maybe once or twice, but the balance and the way she was able to get through the off camber, and overall, I think technically she showed levels. She really showed levels there, and that is it was incredible to see. It was great. It was just great to have her on, and I'm just I hope that she will be doing some more racing, because it is a big name, and it is definitely she will bring the eyeballs as well to cyclocross in a way, and overall it's just to have such a legend already, a legend on the mountain bike. To have her on there in cyclocross is just incredible. Incredible sight to have.
I had the opportunity to speak with her for a brief moment after the race, so I'll let you listen to that as well.
People, nice crowd.
Jolanda, 5th place at your return to cyclocross. Was that above your own expectation?
I didn't really have expectation result-wise. I just wanted to race hard and have fun, and yeah, I did that today. It was cool, and of course it's very nice to take a 5th place home in one of the biggest Belgian races on the calendar. It's a very nice start.
How did you feel on the many technical sections, the off-camber, the downhill?
Yeah, I really enjoyed those sections. That's what I like the most. So this was a really fun course for that. Lots of technical stuff, so that was really cool.
We hear a lot that mountain bike riders can use some of their experience here. How does that translate for you?
Yeah, I think it's more also what we learn in cyclocross we can then later use in mountain biking. For me, it's a really great training here. It's very intense, lots of sprints, no rest, no break. So it's a super good hard training, and yeah, I'm sure I will benefit from this cross block in the mountain bike races.
And what are you looking for the rest of your cross block in terms of races, planning, goals, other than just improving for the mountain bike?
Yeah, now it's really nice to do the first race and see where everybody is, and yeah, what I want to work on. So it's good. Yeah, in 1 week we already race again in Antwerp. So yeah, it's really cool to start now, and yeah, I'm looking forward to improve my technique. I haven't ridden the bike until now, so yeah, it will get easier with that too, and yeah, hopefully feel better in every race.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, really impressive result for her, and she kind of insists more is to come because she feels rusty on the cross bike, but let's see. She might race the World Championships, and as you could hear, she hopes that this will make her better on the mountain bike. Let's look at the entire top 10 then, because Brand took the win ahead of Van Alphen, Fouquenet, Pieterse and Neff. Van der Heijden was 6th. This is not a great course for her. That's why she raced and won Kortrijk yesterday. Kristina Zemanova 7th. Honestly, an overperformance. Didn't expect this at all from her. This is not a type of course where we've seen her do anything like this before. So that was a really good result. She finished ahead of Leonie Bentveld, the first U23. But then the 2 French riders completing the top 10, Amandine Muller and Célia Géry. Hélène Clauzel was 11th, so I guess we conclude today that the French rule 3 riders in the top 10, 4 in the top 11. Kind of reminiscent of the times at the Koppenberg. I think, yeah, maybe one could have hoped for slightly more from Célia Géry, but this is, in my opinion, not a great course for her. I don't remember it from her junior days. All I remember from her junior days here is that one picture where she's going absolutely airborne on the off-camber in the first lap at, I believe that was the European Championships as a first year. But no, other than that, I think quite straightforward results. Issam, some good riders in there. I mean, for Muller, definitely a result to be proud of and take with her. And yeah, maybe if I'm going to be slightly critical, I would remark Hélène Clauzel, not a great weekend. Should have finished on the podium yesterday in Kortrijk, but finished 4th there, now 11th. But this is not a great course for Clauzel, and I don't feel like being too critical today. I already had all my negative energy flow out in the Kamp and Vanthourenhout section, so I'm happy. It was a nice day out.
It was a nice day for me as well, watching it on the broadcast. I was not able to get the Belgian broadcast on because sometimes you have some information there. They have always or always. At times they have someone in the field, so I missed out on that. But overall, I think it was a great watch. The men's race definitely, helped by that as well. But I think on the women's side, it was also great to see someone like Neff getting through that course. The off-camber, I mean, again, the confidence there. There were not that many that had that confidence today, I can tell you that. And yeah, it was great racing. Namur always delivers. It's a great course. It's, I think that it also, the amount of people that were there was also insane. So that was great to see. And we have Antwerp coming up. I am a bit scared of how that will play out in terms of the return of Van Aert. Van der Poel, oh, that is going to be something there for sure.
Oh yeah, it's going to be another festival, another hopefully amazing day out. Issam, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, no worries. Thank you for having me.
We'll be back this week. 2 episodes coming, most likely one about the American National Championships in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and then we will have another one with the Mud Mountain and Noah's 9 before the Christmas period, which we will then also use to discuss and preview the return of Wout van Aert. Thanks everyone for listening. We will be back soon. Goodbye.
Bye.